Let's look at one of the most fascinating and unusual buttons in my collection. It shows a little-known period of Asian American labor history. In 1938, the Teamsters Union had a segregated local of Japanese drivers in Seattle, and its members wore this button. I want to explain its significance. Anti-Asian bigotry is more than a blemish but really foundational to the West Coast labor movement. Unions excluded Chinese and Japanese workers, but also lobbied for immigration restrictions and other racist policies. In fact, the origins of the union label on cigars and other consumer goods was intended to show they'd been made by white hands. The Seattle Waitresses Local 240 was progressive in its advocacy for women workers, but only some of them. It used blatantly racist language to advertise that its union button ensured white labor. Japanese workers then formed their own organizations, like the Japanese Labor Union in Seattle and ethnic unions for gardeners, farm workers, restaurant workers, or other jobs with a high concentration of Japanese. The research I've been able to find is pretty sparse, but there were isolated cases of segregated Japanese locals in the American Federation of Labor by the early 20s. Full equality was bitterly opposed by the AFL leadership. There are some exceptions. In Seattle, Harry Alt, the white editor of the Union Record newspaper, argued for a genuine multiracial labor movement and opposed exclusion laws. Small groups of Japanese American socialists and communists like Carl Yoneda, Suke Miyata, and Tsuji Horiyuchi similarly advocated class unity in the labor movement. The real turning point came in the 1930s with the establishment of the Congress of Industrial Organizations. Unions like the longshore workers and cannery workers were thoroughly integrated and included Japanese and other Asian workers from the ranks to the leadership level. In that context, there was a growth of segregated AFL locals like this one, separate and unequal, but even that half measure was short-lived. Within a few years, the driver who wore this button and every other person of Japanese descent on the West Coast would be sent to internment camps with the full support of the American labor movement. This button came from an estate sale along with another button from the CIO Cannery Union. And this was one of the most progressive multiracial organizations of its time. The combination of items and their years suggests that in less than a decade, the original owner lived a life of staggering contrast, ranging from total exclusion from the labor movement, belonging to a segregated Japanese-only local, being interned in a concentration camp, and participating in a genuine union dedicated to social equality. It's such a powerful story from one small artifact.